Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reisberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Genesis Amaris Kemp, visionary life coach, motivational speaker, author, and podcast host. Please enjoy Genesis Amaris Kemp. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Genesis Amaris Kemp, who is a visionary life coach, motivational speaker, podcast host, holy mackerel, she's a podcast host and an author. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Maddie. It's such an honor to share and hold space with you.
Thank you so much for joining me and doing the podcast swap adventures. Super fun. Before we dive into all the world of creativity, why don't you just take a couple of minutes and let our listeners know a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So as Madi said, I do quite a bit, but I love to tell people I am that firecracker and bubbly energy and spirit. You'll know if you've been interviewed by me because none of my interviews sound alike. And I really like to ask my guests questions that they may not have heard. Before I got into the podcast space, I spent 15 years in corporate America. 12 of those years were spent in oil and gas and energy. Then I wrote my first book, and then the second edition came out. And then I've just been on that journey where I've done other book collaborations. So I have 3 book collaborations on the market as well, and a 4th one about to drop that we're not really releasing too much information yet since I did that with another author. So I don't want to say too much about it unless he gives me the A-OK. Yeah. And then what really started my journey was losing my father to medical negligence, where I learned how to just really become a patient advocate, not just for my dad, but also to help other people really take their control back when it comes to health, because sometimes people feel like what the doctors say is the end all be all, when in actuality it should really be a partnership, because it is your life, your journey, and your body. And that's Absolutely. A little bit about me.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. All the things you were saying about, your voice, your journey, it's a collaboration, and so much creativity goes into that too. We don't think about in the medical field how much opportunity there is for creativity in terms of problem solving and asking questions and being curious. And I imagine advocating for a family member, there is quite a bit of curiosity and asking questions, the why. Well, why do we need to do this? That happens.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes you challenge them and they don't always like to be challenged because they're like, oh, I spent all this time in medical school and etc. Whenever in actuality, there's not a one size fits all whenever it comes to healthcare, just like insurance and etc. And there are a lot of things that you should question, especially when it was in the height of the pandemic and there was a lot of unknowns and people are like, is it COVID or is it not? Is it this or is it that? Because whenever you're dealing with a hospital population that is overstaffed with patients, but understaffed with doctors, nurses, CNAs, and etc., you could easily miss something. And I do believe that's what happened to my dad, which led up to him passing due to medical negligence in November of 2020.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's a really hard reality to accept when you feel like it could have been prevented in that experience. Yeah. It's not. It makes me think of, how we kind of work through things ourselves post an experience like that, and how much creativity, I imagine, gets flexed when we are, dealing with the repercussions of a major event in our life, and how we can navigate that too.
Yeah, thank you for understanding, Madi. It definitely stretches all those neurons that you wouldn't have thought were working, but you definitely start firing on new cylinders.
Absolutely. And when you think about creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
To be creative, when I think about that, it means really tapping in to who you are, the gifts and the talents that you have, and bringing those to the forefront so people can see you, not just one-sided, but I like to call it what's your 3D, because I
Oh.
believe that we're all 3D, and we have different facets to ourselves, but unless we tap into those facets or we're connected with someone that could pull that out of us, then we're just being one dimensional versus three dimensional. And I think that's a part of creativity, because creativity, it could come in various forms, whether it's emotional creativity, mental creativity, physical creativity. Sometimes you get creative, especially when, a lot of the gyms were closed down. A lot of people had to get creative with their fitness routines at home because there was nowhere for them to go. And then spirituality, how you connect with the universe, or in my case, God, or etc., because the churches and places of worship were closed. And I feel like, the building is just that, it's a building, but your personal relationship with who you believe in and that higher power to help you tap into your higher self comes with you taking time to, really practice that mindfulness, but also listen inwardly and then manifest what you want externally.
Yeah, I really like what you said about the building being just a building, and how are you tapping into that internal resource and internal connection that you have with yourself and something bigger, higher power, God, whatever you choose to call it, that experience, and getting creative in finding that connection and finding that experience again when we lost the building space. And yeah, it sounds like you got creative in your own life and your own experience with that. I'm curious, you know, hearing some of these challenges that you have faced, how do you feel you face challenges with creativity?
Ooh, that is a good one. So yeah, just definitely facing those challenges. Let me just lay the blueprint out, because there has been quite a bit. Not just losing my dad in November of 2020, but then shortly after that, I found out that I was being laid off from my corporate job. So that was another challenge. Then 9 months, 5 days later, my grandmother on my father's side passed. Then fast forwarding in January of 2022, I lost my mom's mom, so my other grandmother.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then in between that, I lost my best friend's dad. So we kind of grew up. There would be days where I would go to his parents' house and we'll be watching movies and I'll fall asleep on his parents' couch. And that would kind of be my spot. So it was hard losing him, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, that relationship that you built over 10 years. And then I just got to the point where I was just tapped out of going to funerals. I'm going to be honest. And I was like, my creativity juices is like, on that 5% warning, hey, you need the charger.
Yeah.
Because I felt so depleted by what was happening externally. But what helped me recharge was really taking time to practice mindfulness and meditation, whether it was, just closing my eyes for anywhere from 5 to 10 to 30 minutes to an hour. And I tell people I have to take power naps now, because that is what recharges me and gives me, the ability to fire on all cylinders. Another thing that really helped me was just taking self-care time, like whether I'm taking a long bubble bath and I put my phone on do not disturb, and I just really allow my body to really be still but present in the moment. Because sometimes whenever you're going through difficulties, it's like your body is in that fight or flight mode, and you want to be go 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 like the Energizer Bunny, but before you realize it, you're already experiencing symptoms of burnout, but you may not think that you're there because you think that you could take on everything. And when that happens, it begins to diminish your creativity because you're not tapping into your full self, mind, body, and soul. Journaling is another way that releases my creativity, because sometimes I need to have those sessions where I'm just pulling out my sticky notes and I'm having those faux pas or those mind mapping sessions to even just connect the dots, because there are millions of thoughts that go through our head on a daily basis. And if you can't put them together, then it's like a jumble mess. But the minute you could like mind map it and be like, oh, let's have a word vomit session, and then map them out, then you begin to connect and see, okay, why is this showing up in my life? What is this telling me? Why do I feel the way that I feel? And really take time to usher into your feelings and really connect. I think that is what spurts creativity. And then just being real with yourself, like, who am I and what is it that I've called to do? Or guys, I love this. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Coloring. I love to color. Like if I just grab my niece's coloring book just with some crayons, some little markers or color pencils, and then I get very anal, y'all, because if she's coloring and I'm like, Mia, girlfriend, you're coloring out the line. I'm trying to make this all nice and pretty. So I was like, get a book for yourself and get a book for me. And I just tune out and just color. Because in that time, I'm just thinking about the image that's on the page and the colors in my hand, and just really creating that creativity. And there are some really nice adult coloring books. Some of them are high, y'all. And I'm a dollar store chick. Like I'm going to go to a dollar store or the Dollar Tree because I'm not paying $15.99 for no coloring book. I'm sorry. Like they look beautiful, but that's just not me.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's so true. There are so many resources out there to help us spark creativity. I love all of these. I love what you're saying about that mind mapping and putting your thoughts together and asking those questions. And I'm just hearing so much curiosity that you have for yourself about the thoughts that you have, and like, why do I think that? Or how does this go together? And that really, to me, speaks of so much creativity being flexed, like flexing those muscles of putting those thoughts together. Yes. And getting all of the information out, because I think there's only so much we can sift through in our mind, and we have to get it out on a piece of paper or on the phone, type it, talk it, whatever you need to do. But I think it's a great reminder to get curious about the thoughts that we have and why we're having them. So thank you for all of those good reminders about how we can spark and flex creativity. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to add one more, Maddie. I was going to say, when you connect with nature too, that helps you with creativity, whether you're going on a walk, a jog, a run, or even a bike ride. Sometimes just getting out in nature and just really smelling the fresh air, getting the vitamin D. Sometimes I found like myself thinking about things that I had forgot a long time ago. So it's like those dreams are coming back into fruition. And I'm like, really, Jesus? Really, you're for real now? Like you're bringing this back into memory? Because I'm over here like on my bike ride. And that's one thing I miss right now is I can't bike ride since I'm pregnant, but I can still walk. And sometimes I feel like when you step outside of your comfort zone, or you step outside of the mundane and you're in a different element, sometimes you could hear things as well as see things clearer.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. You're speaking my language, all of it. I love it. I love all of it. And being really present. I hear so much about mindfulness and present moment experiences. And I'm curious how, like, who in your life taught you about mindfulness and present moment, or is this something that you've just gathered for yourself over the years?
Oh, hands down, it was definitely my dad because he would always tell me the past is gone. You can't go back to the past as much as sometimes you want to. The
Mhm.
present is here. So be present in the moment and don't rush through life because you
Mhm.
never know what tomorrow holds, and then the future hasn't begun yet, but you can like plan for it. And my dad was very religious and spiritual. He grew up Catholic, but then
Mhm.
we converted to non-denominational.
Mhm.
So it was just very influential for my dad to just speak certain things inside of me. And then he would always tell me everything in a hurry doesn't come out right, and then I used to just cringe, y'all, when my dad said that. And if you could see my face, you would see my face just scrunched up and just cringe, because I was like, Dad, what does that even mean? Because sometimes I would be go, 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 like an Energizer bunny. But then he would remind me to kind of stop, be present, and if something doesn't work out, it's because it wasn't meant to be in that
Mm.
time. And I was like, oh, wow. And then as I started to mature and get older and do hashtag adulting, I'm like, Dad was so right. Because sometimes I would be trying to do things in a rush, and then I'll have that emergency brake is pulled
Right.
up because something doesn't happen. And I'm like, this is what he was talking about. And then
Yeah.
now that he's not here, it's like all the different little sentiments and different things that he would say
Mhm.
is like just coming up very strong in my memory. And I was like,
Mm.
oh man, I just wish Dad was here to like talk to or run this by him, because he was just full of so much wisdom.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and what kind of like an honor to continue on all of the things that he taught and shared and getting to pass them on to other people as well. I think that also that lineage of support and experience is also a part of the creative process and creative experience in our lives as well. So I love hearing the stories of how people get to where they are today and the influences that brought them here. So I'm curious, you know, with your dad and just in general in family life and being a kid when you were a kid, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
Ooh. Oh, there's so many because my parents were so different. They were married for they were married for 30 years. Yeah, 30
Wow.
years up until my dad passed. So my mom is very conservative. She's Caribbean, and my dad was South American, so very like life of the party, very fun. So just I think the earliest part was just painting and
Mm.
music, because
Mhm.
whenever you're at the store, and let me know if you ever bought any of those musical toys for kids. Like there's like the little play piano or the
Oh yeah.
guitar and different stuff. And so my mom was like, don't buy her that because she's only going to play with that for a little bit and not use it. It's a waste of money. And so every time my mom would tell my dad not to buy me something, when she would go to work, my dad and I would go to the store, and anything that I wanted, we would have it. So I had the piano, I had the guitar up until high school. Like my uncle played the electric guitar on my mom's side, so then they got me one of those, and then I just had different stuff. And that was a way that my dad influenced creativity, because you can bring people together with the love of music
Mm.
and different variations and sounds. And I love noisemakers, so I try to do the same thing with my my niece and nephew. So my brother's daughter, we had got her this red convertible, my husband and I, and the music was so loud. My sister-in-law said whenever the car will turn on, you could hear the sound of the noise that plays with the car all the way down their driveway. And they have one of those long driveways
Oh my
leading up to
God.
the house. So she said it was just driving her insane. So she had to figure out like how to turn down the noise. And we got that when when my niece was 3. And then eventually I think my sister-in-law gave it away or something. But then whenever I would like pull up to my brother's house, I'm driving up the long driveway and I could hear it. And I was like, oh, Mia's in there jamming.
I love it. That's so great. And what a great memory of music and sparking creativity and bringing people together. And it sounds like there was so much joy that was also really cultivated through music and through relationships and family and getting to pass that on. I feel like there's these themes of like experiences and then, that opportunity to share and support someone else to have a similar experience or their own in a different way, but similar threads.
It became a vital part that whenever I got older and I started working here where I am in Texas, we have this thing called the Houston Rodeo Livestock Show. So I would take my dad to different concerts. And this was before I got engaged and married to my now husband. So my dad and I have seen Kid Rock live, and my dad started a chant. He's like, when I say kid, you say rock. And so we were doing that. And that was an amazing show. And my mom came with us, and that was her first rodeo experience. Because normally it was just my dad and I, and someone stepped on her heel with their cowboy boot. So she was one and done. She's like, no more, because she said her heel hurt for days. And she goes, oh gosh, me heel hurt for days, me done. And she's like, she's not going back. And then we saw Gladys Knight. So she's like a legend.
Yes.
And that's like, Georgia. And so we were singing that. And Solange had opened up for her. So we've seen them. We've seen so many like great people. Then when I got with my husband, I took my husband to see Pitbull. I surprised him. So I was like, oh, Mr. Worldwide. And I love Pitbull. We've seen Cardi B.
You have seen like lots and lots of musicians. I love the musical creativity and how it really does like bring people together and, sparks joy and memories. And as you're talking, I can see in your face, listeners, you can't see this, but Genesis is smiling and it's as if you're recalling that experience again.
Yeah, it was just amazing. And I just would love to like relive some of the concerts with my dad, because it was just so much fun. And we would like go to the carnival afterwards, y'all. And like, we'll have to have the turkey leg, the corn dog, the funnel cakes.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm curious, you talk to a lot of people on your own podcast, and with your kind of robust musical creativity in your life, how would you encourage others to find creativity in their lives?
I would encourage them is what makes you light up, what makes you glow. Because whenever you do something that just brings you joy and you have no care in the world, that's part of your creativity jam or that secret sauce, because it just brings like a sense of peace to you. You don't feel like you have to force it. You feel like your shoulders aren't tense. Everything is at ease. There's like synergies there. And even if you're tired, like that one activity will just light you up. It's like light fire to it. And it's like, this girl is on fire.
Thank you, Alicia Keys. I love it. Yes. Nice. I love those reminders of like paying attention. What lights you up? Aside from music, what are the other things that light you up?
Oh, I love traveling. Oh my gosh, I love traveling. So whenever we were able to really go back home on my mom's side to the Caribbean, it was such a blessing, because it was actually the first time that my husband got to meet my family last year in 2021, because they weren't able to come to the US because of their visa. And I did not know that was going to be the last time that I saw my grandmother. So that really lit me up, because my grandmother was 99 years old when she passed. And just to have my husband joke around with her and be like, Vanessa, and he tried to say it in a Caribbean accent. And they had their own little banter going on back and forth, because my husband is totally American. So he's not like that diverse background like me. So people are like, yeah, he's straight up American. But just to see him like submerge himself in like the cultural background, I thought that was amazing. And then when we went on our honeymoon, I tell people, well, since Hawaii got canceled, because that was the year that the volcano erupted in 2018, where we got married. So we chose to do 1 week in Jamaica and 1 week in Mexico. And so we flew home for one day, changed out our luggage, and then flew out the next day to go to the second part of our honeymoon. And
I
just
love
submerging
it.
ourselves there was just amazing because I got to see my husband in a different element, just really interacting with the different people. And one thing that he said, he's like, "Oh, babe, I like Jamaica, but I don't think I want to go back because there's poverty." I said, "Baby, there's poverty everywhere. That's, who cares? There's poverty right here down the street from us if we go to the wrong
Exactly.
part." Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that travel lights you up, music lights you up, connection. It sounds like relationship and family and all of that is so meaningful and important and really gives you that creative boost, the energy to keep going and to keep doing the things that you love to do and sharing it with more people. And that's like that spreading of creativity and joy and love. And it's awesome.
And food, y'all. I'm a big foodie. Food lights me up. And you can really connect with people on food. No matter where you are, food is a universal language that will speak to everyone because everyone likes to eat. So if you are looking to
Absolutely.
connect with someone, find out what they like to eat, find out what they like to drink. And I like to tell people, break bread with them, have a meal with that person.
Yeah, it's a great way to learn about a culture. It's a great way to learn about someone's heritage, their experiences, foods they love. What is your favorite food right now?
Ooh, there's so many. I love the Mexican food. So I like arroz con pollo, so chicken and rice, frijoles a la chara.
Ah,
So like the soupy beans,
yeah.
tres leches cake, but it has to hit right, y'all, and slap right. It has to be like just right. It can't be all mushy. It has to be like
No.
the quantity. I want some authentic tres leches. Italian food. Like
Mm.
I love pizza. Love, love, love pizza. Some of the pizza chains, I'm kind of getting burnt out, but there is one pizza chain in particular. I'm not sure if they have it in your area. It's called Mod Pizza, and I tell you, it's
Oh, yeah.
like Subway, but for pizza. You could put as many toppings as you want. And I went there the other day, and they're like, "You're gonna eat all this?" I said, "Heck yes." And I said, "Don't be so concerned about all the toppings on my pizza. One, I'm pregnant, and two, I already ate like a man before I became pregnant."
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. I love all these things. I think we forget that there's creativity in food, in preparing food, in plating food, in enjoying food. The things that bring us joy are also a part of our creative experience and expression. It has been such a treat to chat with you. I just have one last question. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
Ooh, it reminds me of that old school song when they talked about the Jerry curls. Just let your soul glow. That's what it is.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love that so, so much. That is amazing. Well,
You're turning so red.
I know. Oh my gosh, I'm just laughing. It's so great. But it has been such a treat to chat with you. And if people want to learn more about your podcast or books or how to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
You can head on over to my website, which is Genesis Amaris Kemp. So that's GeneSisAmaris.net. You'll see on there my podcast tab. There's my radio show tab that I do once a month, which is internet-based radio. And I do like guests come on and share because my audience is like about 12 million people that tune in whenever I do this show. Then I have my book. So that is going to be a freebie for the listeners. The first chapter of my book is free. And then the health and wellness aspect of my business. So there is a free health assessment for those of you listening, because what good is having wealth if you don't have optimal health to enjoy the wealth you acquired over time. And then the third freebie for the health and wellness section is a Kiani Sunrise, which is the super fruit, super nutrients pack that gives you all the energies, because sometimes we can't get in all our fruits and veggies in one day. Let's be real. So you just open that pack, take it to the head. Don't think about it, be about it. And it just gives you that boost of energy just so you could just keep on going. Unlike some of the junk that's on the market, like a 5-hour energy and all of the things that make your heart race, like beat super fast, but then over time it could cause health problems.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It has been such a treat.
My pleasure. And I'm so glad I got you laughing and etc. Because when I got on here, y'all, I was on the struggle bus because I had just woke up from a nap.
Well, I'm glad we were able to laugh and bring some more joy into our conversation. So thank you again.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.